There's been a lot of talk about Black Lives Matter because of this story, because of this heinous crime. Now, was this a Black Lives Matter event in Dallas?
No, it wasn't. Not only wasn't it a Black Lives Matter event, it wasn't a protest either. But the media is still calling it a protest.
Yes.
It was a rally that was organized by a pastor, the Dallas Police Department, and the city. And the Dallas Police Department, if you go to their Twitter page, they were posting photos of this rally, this event.
Yes.
You saw people, hugging police.
It was a peaceful rally.
It was a peaceful rally.
Yeah. But media outlets are reporting it as a protest, and not just a protest, a Black Lives Matter protest. It wasn't that. No. It wasn't that at all. So, but you got people, let's see, like Bill O'Reilly talking about Black Lives Matter, right? He's lumping this crime with Black Lives Matter. I mean, we've seen this all over the airways. Megyn Kelly, she was talking about this. CNN was talking about it. Bill O'Reilly talked about how come nobody is protesting for police officers? How come nobody is protesting against this kind of radical violence? Why would anybody be protesting for police officers when police officers are always
when somebody
supported?
Yeah, they're supported. And if somebody tries to harm or kill a police officer, especially kill a police officer, they're feverishly gone after, pursued. Yeah. They're feverishly prosecuted. Yeah. And they are sentenced. So the justice system works.
Okay, so if it's involving an assault on a police officer, the justice system works.
And that's the thing. So there will be no need for protest.
Yeah, why would you protest?
Yes.
But see, when the shoe is on the other foot, when it's people that are civilians that are being killed by the police officer, when it's about bad policing, there's protest about that. Yes. But that should be criticized. Like, nobody should be doing that. And when Black Lives Matter is saying there needs to be something done about the bad policing in America, all of a sudden Black Lives Matter becomes the enemy.
Not only do they become the enemy, anytime something bad happens, they become the target, no matter if they're connected to it or not. Because the only reason that they are connecting this to Black Lives Matter is because people already have a predisposition of it. Right. And because the shooter was black. Black Lives Matter is now responsible for everything every black person does. Because how come this same media didn't cover the 7 previous incidents where policemen were killed? I tell you why. Because they were killed by white men. It wouldn't have. That's the truth. That's the truth. It wouldn't have. It would have affected their narrative. So why wasn't Black Lives Matter responsible for that? Right. Because it wouldn't have made sense to them.
But see, this perpetrator is a black guy. So now it's Black Lives Matter.
Yes. And it's their rhetoric it's their rhetoric that's at fault now. It's some low-key racism. I don't care if you're my friend on Facebook. I don't care if you're my family. I don't care if I work with you. You want some low-key racist bullshit. If you ignore the 70%, that 70% of the time this year that cops have been killed, they've been killed by white men.
But all of a sudden, now it's about
Black Lives Matter. They caused this one. What about those other 7? Who caused those other 7? The white people caused those other 7?
And see, look,
you know what I'm saying?
All of this is about accountability, right? And before, in an early video on the Facebook Live, I said that pretty much I was tired of, innocent civilians being killed, innocent black civilians being killed. But you know what? I got to amend that language, because it's not about innocent civilians. It's about any civilian. I don't care if they are the most evil person in America. I don't care what they have done. They still have a right to live, right? So we don't task our police force with handing out executions. We just don't do that. okay, that has to go through the justice system. I'm against the death penalty, but I'm damn sure against the state executing people unjustly. Okay, so it's not about innocent civilians. It's about being accountable for your actions. And people like this guy that did this horrible crime in Dallas, if he was not killed, he would have been brought to justice, right? He would have paid for his crimes. And we would have demanded that. I would have demanded that. Because I've seen nobody wants this violence. Nobody wants this violence against civilians or police officers. I've seen the families, man. This was a horrible tragedy. But what also is a horrible tragedy is cases like Alton Sterling. What's a horrible tragedy is cases like Philando Castile.
What's the first thing people do? And what's the first thing that people did after the Alton Sterling situation? What's the first thing that they did?
And try to make excuses and say like, oh, well, wait for the facts to come out.
And they said, what they tried to bring up about him, his record.
Yes. They try to indict his character because of his past actions. But
that
does not matter.
But what they didn't do is they did not examine any of the actions of the police officers. And what were those actions?
Well, they killed him.
They killed him. But what they do before they killed him?
So there was a report of somebody. There wasn't even a physical description of whoever was threatening somebody with a gun. The police officer showed up. They talked to the shop owner. The shop owner said, nothing to see here. There's nothing going on. Y'all can leave, man, because there's nothing going on. Nobody is doing anything over here. I don't know what that report is about. I believe they asked him about Sterling out there.
And he was like, nah, he good. He's a nice person. He don't mess with anybody.
I know him.
And he's allowed to be out there.
Yes.
But what did
they do anyway? They went out there and harassed him anyway. And what happened? He ended up dying.
And you can't ignore the fact that he fit the description of a person that they could harass.
Right.
And then once the incident went down, what did they do?
Oh, all they did was go back into the shop and get the security tape without a warrant.
That doesn't sound like actions of honest individuals.
Yeah. So why did you remove that security tape without the warrant? Why did you do that? Did you want to conceal your actions? Because that's what it seems like.
But all they did was question Alton Sterling's past, as if that justified how he was being treated or how he was treated in that moment, which does say a lot. And it goes back to the whole thing about innocent. He was like, killing innocent people, which doesn't matter because that suggests that you have to be perfect in order to be seen as a victim that is deserving of justice.
Right. And is deserving of your heart still beating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Philando Castile. There's reports now that this 911 tape has been not 911. It was the dispatcher.
The dispatcher.
How the officer called in to the dispatcher and was saying that this guy
fit a description only because
of a wide set nose. Of a wide set nose.
I hope
now it hasn't been verified because the police department is not talking to the media. They're not verifying this story.
I hope that's not even true, but
a wide set nose.
I hope that's not true.
So it wasn't a broken taillight. It was a wide set nose.
He just wanted an excuse. But and I think that case is a little bit easier for people to deal with in regard to finding the police at fault because he was an upstanding citizen.
Right.
But see, Alton Sterling wasn't, which actually proves that all lives don't matter.
Yeah.
Because if all lives did matter, then it wouldn't matter that Alton Sterling had a past.
Right.
Because remember, it's all lives.
Yeah, if all lives matter, it doesn't matter what he did in his past. Look, we're not going to deny that some people are bad people. We're not going to deny that.
We're not defending criminals.
No.
We're defending due process.
Yes, we're defending their lives too. Everybody has a right to live. The state does not have a right to just kill people who look a certain way or who aren't even following commands. If they're not following commands, you don't have a right to kill them. Like, we have to make that point, right? Like, we've seen cops shoot at people just because they were fleeing. No. Your job is to go get them. Like if you're not comfortable doing your job, if you don't have the stamina, if you don't have the capability to go apprehend them, you shouldn't be wearing that badge. If you think it's the easy way to just shoot them, well, no, you're not doing your job responsibly, and you should be punished for that. See, we want accountability. I saw Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. I saw his Facebook Live post about this Dallas incident on that night, and he was talking about how, you know, whoever did this crime missed the whole point. If they're mad about, if he was mad about what was going on with cops and black people, if he was mad about that, he missed the whole point, because we don't want violence. Nobody wants violence. We want justice. And I totally agree with him. He was also talking about how this shouldn't be political. I also totally agree with him. This shouldn't be political. This should be like, if I steal something, then I should probably be punished, right? That's pretty much cut and dry. That's 1 + 1 = 2, right? Mm-hmm. But when it involves a police officer getting assaulted, it's not a political situation. When it involves a police officer assaulting a citizen, now it's political.
Yeah.
Now we have to be politically correct too.
Yeah, I know. I do see that.
That I don't understand. Why is it political when the shoe is on the other foot? We want justice across the board. If all lives matter, justice would fit. It would be a one-size-fit-all hat, right? It would serve everybody, but it doesn't. It doesn't, and that's why we are upset, and that's why the criminal justice system does need reform.
Yeah, and it's not about whether all cops are bad.
No.
It's not about that. It's whether we have an adequate system in place to hold bad cops accountable for their actions.
Right.
That's it.